Today we're going to talk about sponsored products. And of course, I'm sure you guys aren't too familiar with train robbing, but we are going to talk about robbing a train. So this is the Union Pacific train shortly before the Wild Bunch robbed it in 1899. So the reason we're talking about the train is because Amazon is a moving train. I mean, you have to really know that the train's already at speed and that whether you're coming in there new or you're far advanced, you have to kind of keep velocity with the movement of the train. You have to be able to slow the train down and the market that's within this train and kind of route that energy and velocity to your products. So we're going to talk about a few things. First of all, I do advanced advertising, and I got started in advertising shortly after the launch of Google AdWords. And I pivoted to Amazon in 2016. So I'm going to start out showing you guys some campaigns that I've optimized and the results, and then I'm going to show you how I did it. I know, I'm excited. Clicker. I know, you guys some magic with this thing. They were showing me back there, and I'm like, holy cow. There we go. Okay, so here's a campaign, and you can see that we've spent about $1 million in ad spend over, this is 18 months, 18-month window. So $1 million in ad spend, and we've done $4 million in sales, right? So the one thing you want to keep in mind, I'm sure you guys know, I don't know how advanced you are, but I'm sure you guys know that you want to attribute your ad spend to total sales. And I don't know how many of you guys are doing that. It did it. Okay. Huh? There it goes. Okay. So that $1 million in ad spend ended up driving about $38 million in total sales over that same 18-month period. So if you're looking at these numbers, hopefully you can see them from back there. So you'll see that when I launched the campaigns, everywhere there's a red arrow, those were new initiatives or new strategies or new scale strategies to drive volume. So the campaigns, they weren't doing any Amazon advertising. I mean, they had a lot of stuff with cap budgets and like 10-cent bids, but that's not advertising. But they weren't doing anything at scale. And when I went in and started scaling, it was there in November, and you could see it takes about a 90-day window. So if you're optimizing your campaigns, I suggest that you work in quarters. So you have a Q1 goal, Q2 goal, Q3, Q4. I don't suggest you you really can't accomplish anything great in advertising in less than a 90-day window, and it takes that much time for the initiatives to really kind of gain traction. So you're going to see here, we put some initiatives together, and then by the time we get to Prime Day, we hit about $3 million a month. So the idea is to use your advertising to fuel velocity, because the train is moving, and if you don't catch up or you slow down, the rule of velocity is if it's in motion, it will stay in motion, but if it's not in motion, it will stop, right? So you really want to kind of leverage your advertising to kind of fuel your overall business growth. So if you're not doing that now, I'm going to show you specific ways that you can do that here today. So we'll look at another campaign. So here, now this campaign is different. So you can notice on the other campaign, and I'm not going to try to reverse these slides, the other campaign was about 25% ACOS on that $1 million in spend. Now this one's like at 32. And this is why every campaign and product is different. So if you have a product that is, your keywords they're going to be driven by market demand, right, as you guys know. So you might have keywords in your marketplace that have really inflated bids, but you still should pay and you still should play. But you're going to notice that your ACOS will suffer simply because the market is requiring more money for keywords that maybe aren't more valuable, but they're still really important for you. So if we start to look here at this campaign, again, the velocity that we're able to achieve through advertising, they weren't advertising at all here back in the beginning, and it was like $239,000 a month. We did a whole bunch of rollouts, the stuff I'm going to show you today, and then we hit like $418,000. That was a good kind of inflection point. But then we kept going. Like that's the thing. I think the most important thing that you want to take away here today is first of all, if you're doing advertising, you're going to walk away today with a way to lay out a game plan. A strategy, right? You're not just going to come in and set up some campaigns. And you're not going to spread your results like peanut butter and put like the same budget on everything, right? You're going to actually leverage the things that need to be leveraged and focus on priorities and make sure that you're actually getting the traffic that will grow your business, and you can track that. So if we're kind of, I'm going to stay on this side because the clicker, I don't want to unclick. So with this campaign, we hit about $500,000, so we doubled sales. But this is where it's interesting. So you would think everyone's like, oh, sponsored products is getting so saturated and this and this, but it's not true because we hit $500,000 in November, and then I scaled, and this is not a holiday or seasonal product. You can see how the numbers held through March, right? So here we go ahead and we hit 800,000. These are the same products. So another thing, if you're advanced, that I want you to know about strategy is the fact that there's so much more money in the safe. Like, I guarantee you there's more money on the table than you're picking up. And this is what these products will show you. These clients came to me, they already have organic ranked. One of the products already has a bestseller badge. We're above the fold on page 1 organically. This is all advertising. So the main thing is, even though we had all of that in the beginning doing 239K, it's not that interesting. We kept pushing the advertising even when it looks like we've got the whole market, right? Like, what else do I need to do? But I keep pushing and I keep scaling, and there we go. Now we're at $850,000 a month on the same products. So I think the thing that blows me away with Amazon is how much money is in that safe. It's just mind-blowing. This little clicker. Okay, fast click, right? I gotta be like fast on the draw, hold on. Haha, all right. So I'm gonna go a little bit quick through these because I wanna get to you guys to the tactics, and this clicker is like, giving me a little chaos here. Okay, so this is another example, about 900,000 in spend, about 2-3 in sales. But the thing that is interesting about this one is they're doing 39% ACOS. It's the same strategy across all 3 accounts. So if you're looking at one, it's like, gosh, they got 25% ACOS. Well, they have like 40,000 reviews and convert at 25%, Number 2, they are in this category that's just vicious. Like, the keyword bids have to be done because we have to play, but they're really overpriced for what we're getting, you know what I mean? And we can't do anything about that because it's competitive. And this is a client that only has 4 stars on a product that they advertise aggressively. So that's the ACOS dip. So sometimes don't let ACOS be like the all end if your campaigns are successful or if you should be playing to win. Because ACOS is a variant depending on a lot of things. Can you tell me where to point? Do me a little tutorial on this again. I'm pointing at that. Maybe I need to hold my arm up. Yeah, maybe I'm too small. Okay, all right. So again, the reason this campaign is interesting is because I didn't start working on their stuff until Prime Day 2017. And I only had enough time to do an audit, right? I was super busy, and I was felt really bad because I looked at their stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, right? So I audited the campaign before Prime Day, and we got there. So these guys had already been in the early days of advertising doing their own thing, like maybe many of you have been, but they were kind of just throwing mud against the wall. Like, it wasn't a strategy, it wasn't a structure. So when I looked at their stuff, you could see that the Amazon game got more competitive. So essentially, if you don't have a strategy, you really can't play, And so they started to realize they were getting no traction from their ads, and they needed a strategy. So we went and put something together and ended up with the sales we got on Prime Day. And then I came back and started optimizing their campaigns here in October with a full strategy, a 90-day Q4 strategy. And you can see where the numbers are at now, right? Again, same products, right? Just more money in the stage. Okay, so we're going to start out staging the robbery. So the key to staging a good robbery is having a killer strategy, right? And the definition of strategy is that you need to tackle your obstacles, right? It's not a strategy if you're not looking at obstacles. You have to get past them. And it's not a strategy if you don't seize opportunity. So with your strategy, you want to be sure you're either looking at the obstacles or seizing opportunities. Next, we're going to hold up the train. And when it comes to holding up the train, you've got to leverage an element of surprise. You're not going to be able to do it with brute force. You can't just come in the room and try to blow the doors off. I know, okay, I'm determined to make this. Okay, next we're going to blow the safe. So with blowing the safe, you want to use leverage, right? You don't want to come in there, with a crowbar. You want to come in there with dynamite. Okay, so the key components to a great strategy, a great advertising strategy, you want to have a bold strategy to start. Don't come in here just to manage your ACOS, or put all your products up in advertising at capped budgets and low bids. You want to come and play to win, right? You want to figure out which of your products you're going to drive home, which of your products you're going to really take to market, and you're going to really capture market share. Bold strategy. You should be thinking really big and really aggressive and definitely playing to win. The second is your small bets. In advertising, everything is small bets. So you should be putting maybe 50 initiatives together into your campaigns. You know, obviously a lot of keywords to test, a lot of ad groups to test, a lot of targets to test. And then from those tests, you want to keep going. But you want to be doing very small bets. Don't put all your money on your bets. So don't get into a keyword tool and pull like 1,000 keywords and then put them all in to see what happens. Because that's not a small bet, you know? That's a kind of expensive bet. So be thinking about small bets. How small can you make your bet to get enough data to make a big move? And this is where most people fall short, is the big move part. Like, do not, when you make your small bets, you want to turn those things that are working small into very big moves, right? So your big moves are probably not big enough, and your bets are not small enough if you struggle at all with your numbers in the campaigns. Okay, so everything in advertising is 80-20, going back to the small bets. You want to be thinking about the fact that 80% of what you do will not work, and 20% of what you do will make you $38 million, right? So you really want to be thinking about the fact that most of what you do won't work, and if you're not having a lot of things in your campaigns that aren't performing correctly, you're probably not testing aggressive enough. So you want to be testing a lot of different things very aggressively, and you can expect that 20% of what you do is going to work, even if you're a pro. Okay, now this is the big takeaway here, okay? So the thing with Amazon and search marketing in general is that there's implied demand in every market. Like, we're not innovating and creating a new market, right? We're getting onto Amazon, we're getting in a category, and we're putting a product there. Well, the demand is already in that category, right? The demand for that product is in that category, and now your competitors simply have that market share. So essentially, there's so much demand for a certain product, and you have 10 particular brands that are leading in that category, right? If you take and add up all of their sales, that's your potential market share. So the question isn't how much market share is there, the question is how much of it can you take and how quickly, right? That's the whole game. You're really in an ecosystem that already exists. So this isn't about innovation, this is about taking sales. Everyone is so scared of competitors. The majority of the action on Amazon happens on the product pages. And your goal is to take as much of those sales on those product pages and move them to your product as quickly as possible. Okay, so staging the robbery. Okay, it's the Wild Bunch, right? American outlaws, held up a train. Super smart guys, not your average outlaws. And the train. Now the train are all those shoppers in Amazon, right? Looking for a product, implied demand, basic economics. They're coming to get something, they're searching for it. So the main thing you want to think about in your ad campaigns strategically when you're structuring them is that the Amazon algorithm is going to build keyword history on each individual keyword. So if you're coveting just a few keywords and putting all your money on those and doing it an exact match, probably not going to get a lot of traction or scale to get the numbers we looked at today. You want to be thinking about every keyword is a separate kind of universe to the algorithm. So you want to be bidding on all of your keywords that are potential in the market, not just your most profitable ones. You're not trying to just get good ACOS. You want to scale and expand those keywords through advertising because you build a conversation with the algorithm that you sell, right? You let the algorithm know that you sell products on specific keywords. So 20% of your keywords will produce 80% of your sales. So when we talk about budgets, don't spread it thin, right? Put all your money on the keywords that are driving sales, right? Be sure that you're segmenting your budgets and not trying to advertise all products and all keywords equally, because you need priorities. You need priorities in the campaign. You need to focus on the things that are going to drive revenue and growth. Okay, so a lot of people will talk about how advertising will push organic rank. It will push organic visibility, not necessarily rank by position, but it will increase your visibility, but it won't do it on sales velocity alone. It just has to be one keyword by keyword. Okay. So when the algorithm goes out, it looks at every keyword on an individual basis. So if you're missing keywords in your campaigns and you're not showing up organically on page 1, you need to bid on those keywords so that you can get placement. So you want to be thinking about, the algorithm is saying, okay, so what product has the best sales history for this given keyword? So if you're missing keywords in your game that you don't rank for organically, the algorithm essentially has no history for you on that keyword, so you could be missing a whole lot of sales. There's a lot of keywords that people will kind of come in and they have a certain amount of keywords that are working and they haven't taken that much further out. You definitely want to really scale your keywords. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a quick thing. So when you're selecting your keywords, the 3 things that you want to do to select good keywords is you want to look at frequency. So you guys all have search term reports. I'm sure you're very savvy with them. And you probably look at those in Seller Labs. When you're looking at your search term report, you should be looking at the common seed keywords that run throughout all of those long tail, right? And you should be bidding on the right keywords to bring more of those in perpetually, right? So when you're looking at your keywords, you want to be thinking, what shows up most frequently in this report? What seed keywords are always showing up in the variations? What seed keywords are always here? And you want to go deeper on those keywords, right? That's what's working, but you don't want to play a small game. That's no longer a small bet. You know that's working. You need to be making big moves on those keyword variations. Next is you want to look at relevance. And relevance for your specific product, right? Relevance is not about all products in the category. It's where can you differentiate? What modifiers are showing up in your reports that you can kind of drill down and know that you're going to get buyer preference? Because you can't play to win if you don't get a lot of sales. So the next thing is scale. Again, it's not a small game. The numbers are not small. It's a massive freight train. So you want to be thinking about scale, like what keywords have the highest search volume, what ones get the most impressions in your account. And you should be looking at if you see a keyword has high search volume, but then you don't have high impressions, you should fix that. Because the scale is there, but you're not capitalizing on it, right? Like the keywords, this should get 1 million, searches a day, and you've got 1,000 impressions. So there's a big gap there that you haven't really filled, right? So be looking at numbers in that regard. So if we're talking about keywords and just the obvious kind of short tail, mid tail, long tail keywords, you really want to start out in the mid-tail. And this is how you're going to use the Seller Labs tool to get a lot more out of your campaign. So you really want to be sure you've covered every modified search. So you go through your reports, you go through all of the product listings, all of your product listing, and you look for every kind of second-tier modifier that you could use, right? You really want to be looking at what modifiers are relevant to your product, and then also what modifiers will allow you to convert at a higher rate. And by doing that and just focusing on modifiers, you can win enormous wins with the algorithm itself by the fact that you will convert higher and sell better on those mid-tail keywords. And then when you put those mid-tail keywords into your account, make sure you're doing them as broad and phrase match. And don't try to covet the exact match long tail so early on the game. Get broad and phrase in there, but get the right modifiers in your mid-tail first, and then your long tail will be so good and so deep. So you can see what I mean. If I'm intentionally trying to mine off the 2-word phrases, the 1-word phrases are even too broad to start mining. So I want to mine off red bandana, right? I want to mine off cotton bandana. So at that point, by being aggressive on those mid-tail words, I'm allowing the algorithm to dish up in my search term report the right modified long tail. And I'm not making bets on them. I've made the bet in the mid-tail, and I'm just taking all that from the long tail and making money on it. So try to not get real stingy as you're setting things up in terms of ACoS. Try to think strategically about those modifiers that differentiate your product that you can sell on, that you can convert on, and make sure you set them up to mine additional phrases for you at speed, at velocity. So here's a good example of a build that's done this. So each of these campaigns in here is all just a single modifier. So all these numbers that you're seeing on this side in sales are just driven off one word being different in each one. So that's how powerful a modifier can be if you're scaling, right? Again, small bets, big moves. One word, really good stuff, right? Okay, so this is, again, the wild bunch, right? Okay, so that's just going to be the thing. So start with your targeted keywords and expand based on sales performance. Okay, we're going to hold up the train. And this is the part that everyone really likes to do. and is the most fun, but it needs a little bit of explaining, so you guys get it and go home and do it. So this is the Union Pacific route, right? We're going to need a strategy to hold up this train. So now we're going to ambush, right? We're going to come in with an element of surprise, right? We're not going to try to do this with brute force. We're going to come in, and we're going to use an element of surprise to steal our competition's traffic. This is what an ambush looks like. You've never seen one? Okay. So you want to get, obviously, like master the obvious, we want to consistently get our products in front of as many people as possible, as many buyers, right? We're all trying to do that every day. But when we look at Amazon, 20% of sales are really coming out of search. 80% are coming off product pages, right? So if you're managing your sponsored products and you're trying to just rank at the top of the keyword search, well, you're losing a whole bunch of the traffic. And the reason for that is the fact that Amazon makes the product pages designed so that shoppers kind of bleed out to your competition. So, okay, if you're doing Google AdWords, like the classic for me, you build a conversion path and people come in there and they buy your stuff or they don't, but then they have to back out of your page to go requery to find something more specific or something they didn't find. Amazon has eliminated that, so people don't have to go back and requery. I mean, if they come to your page and they say, oh, I wanted this in cotton, Amazon's like, well, here's 85 cotton products. Would you like to go look at one? And it leads them off your page. So you don't really need to be thinking about requerying as much, and you need to be thinking about your positions on your competitors' pages. You need to blanket the entire market. You need to be thinking about every page they're going to go in their path to purchase, right? The shopper is going to come, search on a keyword, and then where do they go? You track that in your strategy. Where do they go? How many pages did they go through? What alternatives do they look like? What are they looking at? Where have they gone? And that's where your ads need to be showing, not just on the keyword search, because it's about 80% of potential traffic. So when we put that together, a lot of people ask how we do it. You're going to be thinking about your competitors' brand names and your competitors' product names, but you want to kind of build like a contextual ad group. So the way you put that together is you put together an ad group to target a specific competitor page, and then from there you kind of layer in some category type keywords. So for me it would be red bandana in this example, and kind of lower the bids on those. I'm going to show you how to structure it here in a minute. So you just want to be sure that you're thinking about the fact that you won't be converting a sale. You're just not going to be converting your sales in search. You're going to be converting them on the product pages. Okay, so when you put your ads on your competitors' pages, in this, sponsored products related, the tables that are below, not just product display, this is not just an AMS strategy, you put your ads actually in the tables below, on their way from, they read the product description, and then they head down to the review section, and then between there's all sorts of placements, right? There's all sorts of places that your ad can display. So when you put your ads there, you kind of boost your perception as a leader in the category because they don't know their ads. And then you lift your visibility up, which is great for your sales conversions. Okay, and the best thing about the strategy is when your competitors outrank you organically on specific keywords, you can turn around and look at who is outranking you and then go place your ads on their pages. So essentially, okay, they're outranking me. I can't boost my organic rank overnight, right? It takes time to boost organic rank. So you can go place ads on their pages so that you still get in the path to purchase. And if they don't purchase a competitor's product, then there's a high likelihood that they will at least see and then purchase yours. So be thinking about the whole path to purchase and how you can blanket it. So how do you pick your competitors? We're going to look at velocity, sales velocity. We're going to look at visibility, right? How visible these competitors are in terms of the bestseller rank and other places. And then we're going to look at organic rank and advertising rank. Okay? If our competitors have these positions, we need to be on their pages. Okay. Got it. I'm on it. Okay. So here's what it might look like in your framework. So you might have your bestsellers listed out by ASIN. Then you might have your organic competitors all ranked above the fold by ASIN. And then you'd have your advertising competitors by ASIN, right? And then from there, the ones that are the most lethal, where you put your priorities and you're trying to scale, are the ones that kind of overlap all these categories. So they have a good spot in the BSR, the BS subcategory. No one cares about the top categories. They're in your competitive subcategory, and they're in the top 10. They have high organic rank, and they're advertising aggressively. You should be thinking about nothing but that competitor. They're taking so much of your market share. Like, it's not even funny how many sales that they have siphoned out of that category. So you want to be sure that you start to kind of tip the scales and bring yourself back onto their product pages and reroute some of that traffic. So the best way to structure this, there's a few ways you can target competitors' pages. The first thing you want to think about is these are going to be within your product campaign, right? So I assume you have a campaign. It's for a single product. You've targeted your keywords. Those are all segmented tidy into groups. Now you're going to go ahead and you're going to take the top competitors. Okay, so the ones that are, like I said, lethal. They're all in the BSR. They're all over the organic listing. They're advertising like crazy people. Okay, those guys first, right? Think of all the traffic they have on those product pages. Think of the people that don't buy. Wide market. You got to grab those guys. So those get their own ad group. Okay, so give them their own ad group. And then to build out the ad group, targeting-wise, think about everything on their page as a contextual makeup. So read their product page, and you want to kind of pull all the keywords about their product, like their product names, their brand name, right? You kind of want to build what an algorithm might see about that product. And then you can pepper a few of the category keywords, like keywords that are in their title, right? Those can be kind of peppered in there. You're just going to want to make sure that you reduce the bids on any category keywords because they're going to be expensive and they're not going to convert the way you want. And your goal with those competitor campaigns is to look at the ad group by its performance. All the keywords are a broad match. You're trying to use them kind of collectively to signal to the algorithm that you're talking about that page, if that makes sense. So you're kind of saying, oh, I'm talking about this product page. So when the algorithm looks at the keywords in the list, it says, oh, I see, this is this product page. But if you just use one brand name or one product name, the algorithm doesn't get the whole context of it. You know, it doesn't say, it's just saying, well, you're not them. You know what I mean? This is not you. But if you kind of build it contextually by trying to pick up keywords on the page and then set it at the ad group level, and you can sort of target that way. The other way is your auto campaigns. People get so focused on auto for keyword mining, and it's really, when you look at keyword history in the algorithm, auto is not really a strong tool for that. You don't get to pick your keywords. You're not building them one by one strategically, right? But auto is killer for landing on your competitors' pages. So if you're not running auto or you've run auto and you're like, what's this about? Optimize your auto campaigns with the intention, each product kind of segmenting them down, of getting on competitors' pages and the sponsored products related. So you can use combinations of negatives to kind of filter the traffic and bring it back in. Use heavy negatives in your auto campaigns, but be looking, the end goal though, is to go back and look if you're on those pages. So when you have this list of ASINs, you're never going to use the ASIN as a target unless you're doing product display. You're never using the ASIN as a target. You're using the keywords, but the ASIN gives you the campaign structure build, right? So when you do that, go back in and just make sure you're ranking on those pages. That's the ultimate measure, right? And if it's not working, continue to refine your keyword targeting, continue to refine your auto targeting until you start to see some traction on those pages. So this is an example of a competitor campaign. And these are done through product display. You could do it in AMS too, but I like to do both. I would suggest that you do it in AMS to get solid data, those small bets, and then make your big bets in sponsored products. So I like to kind of do a 1-2 punch. If you have AMS, you should do that too. But if you don't have AMS, hop on sponsored products and get on those pages as quick as you can anyway. But product display is a great place to get the initial data on what you can do on which competitors' pages, what conversion looks like. It's just a little cleaner to get the first build. So these top 3 arrows are all one competitor. So, I mean, there's a lot of money to be made off those pages. So we've targeted one competitor there, and they're just different child ASINs. So going back to our modifiers, you know, different variations of a product, child ASINs, you know, we've essentially taken 2, 3, you know, $400K off of their one product page, which is more market share for my client and happy endings. So when it comes to your competitors, the best thing that you want to use this for is the fact that they're going to constantly be entrenching on you. And new competitors are going to enter the space. And as soon as they enter the space, tag their product pages. Don't give them any room. Don't give them any room to breathe. Don't give them any room to take a sale from you. Don't give them any room. Like, bring them in, introduce them. Like, hello, it's good to know you. I'm going to take all your traffic now. That will be all. You know? So don't, you know, keep really on top of who's coming in your space as quickly as they come in and move them back, push them back. Okay, so the main kind of takeaway here, kind of master the obvious, is that your competitors' keywords don't convert in search. It's terrible. People searching for a brand in the search engine on the keyword normally don't want to buy something else. They're pretty well clear what they're going to look for, and if they put that competitor in the engine, they pretty much at least want to go take a poke at it. You know what I mean? They want to go see what's going on there. That's why they search for it in the first place. So never think, if you're getting your campaign traffic out of search, through your placement report, never think that the competitor stuff isn't working. It's just not working in search, and it doesn't work in search for anyone. It works great on product pages. That's where competitive strategy works. After they're looking to make a buying decision, they've declined this product, and now they're keeping on looking, and maybe they just are going to start comparison shopping. That's where it really works. Okay, so we're going to talk about blowing the safe, and this is a real quick win, and I think that everybody here will have a good time with this. So this is the Wilcox train robbery after the Wild Bunch blew the safe. Okay, the dynamite. Okay, so when you're, excuse me, when you're coming in, the main thing in e-commerce and shopping is the fact that leadership is the most important driver of buyer behavior. There's no question about it. Any report's going to tell you that. That's what they talk about when they talk about branding today. That's what branding's all about. I mean, leadership is the one thing that will just, shoppers are always looking for the leader. You know what I mean? They're always, when they're making a quick buying decision, when they're making an expensive buying decision, always they're thinking, where's the leader? That's just kind of what people do. So it is definitely the most important factor, even in your advertising campaigns, because when you establish leadership, you get really low cost, right? You get really effective conversions, you get really low CPCs, you get really competitive metrics, and it's a true advantage. It's probably the only advantage that you can really gain in advertising is strengthening your conversions and strengthening that leadership, strengthening buyer preference to get more sales for the money you're spending. So with that in mind, you're going to see in the bestseller ranks that 20% of the sellers get 80% of the sales. And I'm here to tell you guys that you should be in that 20%. It's a category, it's a market. I mean, there's so many ways that you can re-navigate that traffic and obtain more of it to become a bestseller. You really shouldn't be settling for any less than your fair share of the traffic available and the sales available. So the big picture goal is to win the bestseller badge. And the bestseller badge is not the same as Amazon's Choice, right? Amazon's Choice is literally about you guys and your amazing businesses, your ability to secure reviews, to have no refunds. Like Amazon's Choice loves all sorts of stuff about you and your beautiful business. The bestseller badge is won by velocity. It's won by a lot of different things, but it really is, okay, who's selling the most product here? Who's the most popular? So this is a badge that you can leverage with advertising. This is a game for advertising. This is what advertising does best. So you definitely don't want to discount the fact that, oh, I don't have the bestseller badge. You should have the bestseller badge. It is so valuable. It's like gold in terms of your conversions. So your bestseller badge is not just based on velocity alone. So it's like sometimes I'm sure you guys have seen in your category someone has the badge and you're like, but I know I'm selling more than them. The goal for you is to look at that. The reason you may be selling more is because they're getting overall more traffic to their pages. That's a really key metric, especially if you have different price points. But someone could have a lower price point, which means to you it looks like you're selling more. But in reality, to Amazon, it looks like that page gets twice the visitors that yours does. You know what I mean? In terms of velocity, it's just not the sales numbers alone. It's a huge factor. But you really want to be thinking about how many sessions that you bring to your page, how many views are you bringing to your page, and how to increase those views, because that really powers like the popularity piece of the algorithm. So when you win the badge, and I cannot tell you, a lot of the campaigns you're seeing up there early, badges, and won badges. I mean, they weren't given, you know what I mean? I won them. In fact, all my campaigns on our best-selling products have badges. I don't really, and those were not something that we, again, they were just won through good, aggressive traffic strategies, good advertising, strong advertising, aggressive advertising. We won those badges, and we've held them all along, and that's how those numbers have been secured. So when you think about the badge, conversion and cost is a serious advantage in advertising, right? Because you need to convert higher, and then every time you convert higher, your costs go down. So you're more sustainable than your competitors, right? You have a better game. You have a better game plan, and you can last so much longer. So the reason for that, in the bestseller badge, the way you lift those sales is you want to put in those short tail keywords. So my suggestion is that you start out in the mid-tail with those very specific terms you can win on. You win all those modifiers. I mean, don't do lazy advertising where you go to the short tail first. Like, oh, bandana. Don't do that. You want to win on the mid-tail. You want to think really hard about what those keywords are, what those modified searches are that will win this game for you. Then you want to go attack your competitors and the product pages. And not just to be mean to your competitors, just for the simple fact that that is the customer's path to purchase. And we have to be on it. We just don't have any choice there, right? So you need to make sure you're in the path to purchase. That's your second piece of the game. But the third piece of the game is to come in and run your biggest keywords. Because you're not trying at this point to just drive sales or ACOS. You're trying to drive sessions at scale rapidly to take the badge. And then you will keep the badge and you'll never lose the badge. But you need to kind of come in there with a very aggressive strategy, and that's when you use your short tail keywords. And that's when you don't necessarily have to be so concerned with a tiny bit over on your ACOS, because you've already won on the long tail, one on the mid tail, and one on the mid-market, right? So then you have to come in and you have to play to win. And the way you do that is that short tail keyword. It's bandana, right? You just come in and you just put a lot of money on it. So the main thing I want to talk about here strategically, because you guys are advanced, is this profitable? How to make it profitable. I can't say is it profitable because no one would do it. The thing that you guys want to think about with profitability is I had this in Q4, I don't know if everyone experienced it, but in my campaigns, ad spend went up tremendously. And we were looking at the numbers and I was like, man, we got to make sure this is still doing what it needs to do, because velocity I think the algorithm has gotten friendly with pay-per-click campaigns, and it wasn't giving us the overall total velocity wins that I had been getting in the earlier part of the year and in 2016. So I met with a business acquisition expert who sells Amazon businesses. Like, he sells lots of them every month. And a really sharp guy, named Scott Dietz. And he took me through and showed me the metrics to sell a healthy business in the venture capital world. And he showed me all the different things, like the acquisition world and investors and who's interested and when does the business get valuable, when does it get more multiples, and it was such a great meeting. So he breaks this down for me in a big dashboard, and he starts pulling the levers on advertising, because he wanted me to talk about advertising at scale, because my clients on average grow at 3x. So we normally start at one place, and we end up 3 times higher. So as a business acquisition guy, he was very interested in how I accomplished that, because he sells businesses, and he wants to do that for his clients. So he shows me the numbers. And so here's the deal for business value. You need to crunch your sales total by ASIN, by product ASIN, and you need it to calculate all your cost of goods sold, and then you need to subtract from that. So what you're going to do with that is you're going to look at your cost of goods sold, and you're going to be able to look at your profit per ASIN, and you want to keep your profit after advertising spend, after cost, you want to keep your profit at 20% or better. Don't drop below 20%. So if you're being aggressive and bidding on the short tail keywords, you really can't push it much above. You can't let your profitability drop below 20%, or you're really not playing to win anymore. But as long as you're at 20% in profitability, but your growth multiples are in like the 1x, 1.5x, 2.5, 3, then you're doing really well. I mean, you're on a, he did the trajectory of like what this would look like in years, not just in the value of your company, but how much you will be selling if you keep up with the numbers I'm showing you here today. So you need to make sure that the growth is happening at the product level, orders day over day, month over month, and then you need to make sure you're hitting 20% on your profit. So that's how you know for sure that velocity is actually paying off for you and not just a bunch of ad money, going out the window. So here is a good example. This will be the last slide. This is a really great example of how that works. So this was a keyword one keyword. So if you're up here, a single keyword, we drove, I gotta make sure I see this, over here. Like, it looks like 350K on this keyword on 100,000 in spend. And then I ratcheted up, and we did about $669,000. That's over a really short period of time. I don't even know. It's just one keyword, though. And then from here, though, the interesting thing, if you look at the we did 759. If you look up here at this 5% ACOS, that's a brand campaign, all our brand keywords. But the cool thing about this is by ratcheting up that short tail, like really broad keyword to that kind of scale, you can see the budget, I think it's 7,000 a day or something. By putting that in like that, it ends up that our brand searches, all the brand searches we had in 2017, including holiday, we doubled that in Q1. So, I mean, it was huge. I mean, we did it was a lot of brand sales. I mean, it was like we just doubled our brand, like equity, brand searches, brand sales. So it was a really lovely thing. So you want to be looking at the big picture, and you really want to leverage your short tail keywords against your brand searches If you guys have AMS reps, they can get you those numbers. Look at what the brand searches are quarter by quarter and make sure you're pushing those. Okay, I'm going to close this out. I pushed the thing the wrong way. Sorry, I'm done. Okay, guys, I'm going to close it out because the clicker went backwards. Thank you.